It's just before dawn, White Sands Missile Range, New Mexico. As a bugler blows reveille, hundreds line up to begin what can best be described as a marathon through the desert.
Sunrise in the southwest.
These soldiers from the Ozarks, members of the Missouri National Guard. They join civilians and soldiers from around the world in what's become the largest event of its kind. A moment of silence to remember why they're all here, to commemorate the Bataan Death March. In April 1942, just a few miles from Manila in the Philippines, thousands of American soldiers fought Japanese in a horrific battle in a place called Bataan. It lasted weeks, but finally, Americans had to surrender. Their Japanese captors rounded up the exhausted and humiliated soldiers. Then began the long, brutal march to prisoner of war camps.
Oh, Missouri! Woo!
The march in New Mexico begins in the cold desert dawn. Ahead of them, 25 miles of rough trail.
Good luck!
Many of them choose to carry heavy packs. They say it helps them better appreciate the difficulty of what soldiers on the Bataan Death March endure.
Well, we got about 45 pounds.
It's a difficult, exhausting trek. Many won't make it. Some will suffer injury. Others will find it takes all their strength to carry on. But in the first few miles, spirits are high.
All uphill, buddy.
They told us lots of horror stories to prepare us for it.
One Missouri team, women from the Ozarks.
We haven't stopped yet. No. I figured that's the key. I didn't think there'd be this much sand. Slowed me down some. Slow and steady, though. Well, we got a long way to go. We just got to pace ourselves and keep ourselves going, keep some motivation going.
Along the way, survivors of the Bataan Death March and other veterans of World War II.
I'm down 20 to go.
In the Philippine jungle 57 years ago, thousands died as they staggered along. No water, no food allowed. The Japanese soldiers shot or bayoneted anyone who could not keep up. It was 60 miles through the steaming jungle. Soldiers today see the steam of a cooling fog pumped from water trucks halfway on their route to offer brief relief. The desert's not like the jungle, but the Memorial March is held here for good reason. New Mexico paid an especially high price in the original Bataan Death March. Of 10,000 soldiers marched through the Philippine jungles, 2,000 of them were from New Mexico, and out of that number, only 1,000 or so made it home. This commemorative march began 10 years ago with a couple of hundred, but as sons and daughters of the survivors began to realize their parents' sacrifice, this memorial march grew. This year, almost 2,500 made the effort.
Like hell.
8 hours into the march, it's getting hot.
It's indescribable. It's my first time doing this.
It begins to sink in what it must have been like on the real Bataan Death March.
Here, if we quit, we just go home. Those guys quit, they got killed. And this is only 25 miles compared to what they did.
Marchers had to dig deep to find the strength to keep going.
Right here, the heart, especially after this distance.
I made it! All the way in. Go, ladies!
The women's team from the Ozarks, one had fallen behind, struggling with dehydration and blisters. Her teammates waited so they could finish together.
Hey, come on. Come on, come on. It's all there, Sharon. Come on, a little more, Sharon. You got it, girl. Right. Come on. You got it, Sharon.
At the end of their ordeal, the survivors of Bataan were barely alive.
I admire them for their strength and their encouragement, for, making it to the end and surviving. What they went through was so different than what we even experienced today, but I have a great appreciation for what they've done for us.
Oh, good job. Oh, my God, good job. Thank you. Oh, my Lord. Let's go for another 25. Next year.